It feels like magic. Everything is like being reimagined right now.
It was really hard to create that kind of product magic in like 2 years.
Now the challenge is to figure out now how do I do this at scale? Like how do you get your org to, like rewire their brains on how to do product? A lot of these like uncool, unsexy businesses are becoming sexy now.
Is it safe to say that somebody who is doing very high skilled labor will still become relevant?
All of us have become like QA engineers now, right?
I would say we are reviewers.
Everything that can be automated will be automated.
Do you really eventually need a CEO of a company to run a business?
Welcome everyone to another episode of The Neon Show. Sid and Nancy could not be here. They've been fired from the show. We are your new hosts. I'm Vishwa, co-founder and CEO of ZenDuty and also general manager at Zurant. Today I have with me two very special guests. We have Rahul Sasi, who is the co-founder and CEO of CloudSEK. And we have with us Ananda, who is the co-founder and CTO of Astra Security. Welcome, guys.
We'll go to rapid fire questions. I'll just throw each one of you a single question. Both of you can answer, by the way. What is your biggest waste of time as a startup founder?
Emails, meetings mostly.
Emails and meetings.
Yeah. So I think any meeting, I don't like meetings that go above 15 minutes.
Similar for me as well. Like as founders, your time is very limited on what you can put your focus in. So trying to do a lot of async meetings. Like I'm using a lot of like AI. Like initially it was voice notes. Now I'm using those voice notes to transcribe, create PRDs, create a loom or something. Let the team have context.
What is the biggest red flag in hiring? Is the one thing that will just, pause the whole hiring?
If I get a feeling that the candidate doesn't understand what they're doing, not asking the right questions, doesn't have the context, is a big red flag.
For me, if you're switched too often in the recent past, that's a big red flag for me. I mean, if you're not able to sustain a company for like a year, ideally, I think we would want someone to be there for like at least 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, it ties on to ownership is what I felt. Like
100%.
I'm sure people have reasons, but when you're looking at 1,000, 2,000 applications on a job role, it's not possible for us to understand everyone's unique case. It's just a filtering criteria. Yep. Ownership is something which I look at quite a lot. Can they own that outcome? So when people own an outcome, they do everything that it takes to get there.
Yeah. My biggest has been integrity, by the way, and I often dislike people who takes credit to other people's work, right? I mean, and it comes out also very well, people speak about some work somebody else did. They might have been passively been there observing, so they have some context. But then, there's no depth, and that comes out as a very, and then they'll present it as their work is a very big letdown for me, because integrity is super important. And it's okay. You're not going to do everything, man. I mean, and expecting that everything is also, not the way it is going to be. Yeah. What do you think one should, you being a CEO, or let's say whatever position you are in the company, you should know how to code? Is it yes or no?
Yes. 100%. A million times yes. You should know how to code.
Everybody? Do you think everybody in your organization should know how to code?
I think so. I think it's good. I think it broadens broadens the possibilities of what you can do on your job, right? So you don't have to rely on, like you can write your own automations. People who write code can think in terms of systems, right? And they don't need to bring in an external, let's say a specialist to do the basic automations that they need. Basic automations. Right, so if you know how to code and you can integrate systems,
it's a superpower. You're saying
100%.
Yeah. I mean, and it's very few people who have that.
They're not dependent on another team.
Yeah.
Like they can take things into their own hands. Like even our sales team.
Do you have anybody in your sales team who could code?
Yeah, I have someone like on behind me to deploy some of the code automation scripts, Python scripts they wrote on the servers, because they had some use case where HubSpot wasn't integrating with another tool, or some workflow wasn't already possible. They've exhausted all options in the platform. They've written a code which integrates between Slack and that. And I was like, that is amazing. Like it is not like, oh, I have a blocker, I need engineering bandwidth to do it. Not blocked on engineering bandwidth and I'm the happiest. Now with this vibe coding and all, like I I'm looking forward to it that non-tech teams are able to solve their own use cases.
I think the way to conclude it is that, the engineers should become good salespeople, and the salespeople should acquire the skills of engineers. What is the biggest mistake you made as a founder?
I failed slowly. That's my biggest
Failed
mistake.
slowly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same. Failed slowly. Should have iterated much faster. Should have put down a foot, like taken that hard stance when we should have. Right now, like we're in that phase where we're doing all those things, and normal founder growth perspective, right? Like I should have done this now, but like we didn't do it. Koi nahi. Matlab, we'll do it from now on.
What is the best piece of advice you have got as a founder? And who it could be yours, and then a piece of advice whom you got from somebody whom you now cherish.
So both my co-founder and I, we were technical co-founders, right? We were both building parts of the product. But I wish I had focused more on building the pipeline early on while the product was getting built. So maybe get a few initial customers before you start building the product would have been. And if I'd followed through on that advice, I think that would have been really great. It would have saved me two more quarters.
Yeah, for me, like it's similar to what you're saying, but with a different lens. I feel like momentum is everything. Like momentum solves problems. You can have a problem with a longer sales cycle. Probably momentum in the way you iterate on sales process or the momentum of product might solve that. You have a problem with marketing, maybe product momentum will solve. So over the years, I've seen that whenever there are challenges or anything, momentum is the only thing. So boil down to iteration only, but focus on that. Never drop the ball on that, because when you have things going for you, you'll have that ripple effect, right? And on the second part of like advice someone has given us, so very early on, like one of our mentors, like the founders of NIIT, Vijay Thadani, so he told Shikhil and me, like my co-founder, that there's no right way of doing the wrong thing. So we probably didn't understand what it meant at that time, but now, like when I look back, that has been great advice.
I have an extra question, by the way. What is the most difficult thing you ever done as a founder? What is it, like the most difficult thing you had to do and you did it? Maybe this could go and there.
Every day is.
But what is that one action which you have like?
So how do you define difficulty here?
Painful
Painful mentally. I mean,
I think most of us our things are painful mentally. We don't have any physical torture or
mentally.
Nobody's beating us.
You want to take this one?
In B2B SaaS, nobody is beating us. We only have mental tortures.
I think big shifts are something which can get painful, like those pivots. Like for us, like we were in a different space in security itself, like always in security space. But and that was profitable, there was revenue and everything. But knowing when to say that, okay, this is probably not it. We have to make that big shift. The DNA of the company has to change. The skill set has to change. Customer ICP is changing. GTM changes. So knowing when to take that call, like, and I think the only thing which helped is having a great co-founder. Like, Shikhil and I, luckily, like we go back way long, and full credit to him of like being upfront about it, that no matter what happens, like we need to be on the same page. And that day, like that end of the day you can call your co-founder, chat about things, rant about things, and come out stronger. So yeah,
awesome. For me,
you've been at it for I think longer than us.
Yeah,
10 years.
Pain.
10 years of
pain. Most percent of my company building, I was too afraid of what people would think of me.
Like your people or like people outside?
Any people for that matter. My people a lot for sure, right? And I was too much getting validation on what is not right or wrong, rather than what people think of me, of my actions.
Are we talking about mistakes or are we talking about the pain?
So I'm talking about coming fourth and fifth together.
Yeah, let's do that.
So the biggest mistake for me was that me knowing that I have a problem to fix, sitting on those problems, knowing it is difficult to make, was my biggest mistake. Now, pain came from, after a point of time, after 8 years or something, I'm like, no, I'm going to act on problems ASAP, irrespective of what the consequences was, irrespective of what people think of me. There was somebody in the company who was a long timer in the company, literally was slouching, literally was creating everybody in the company nuisance, and we had to let him go. But then he is a very all-timer in the company. Everybody loves him.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the work and when it comes to what he's contributing back to the team and the culture it is creating was negatively impacted, right? So me sitting on a problem for a very period of time, I know that is a problem I need to fix, but I'm like, if I fix it, everybody's going to hate me. People are going to hate me as a founder because, then at a point of time, I understood that I have to act. If I know there is a mistake, if I'm not acting, I'm not doing justice to my job.
Sometimes I've realized that we're overthinking those decisions, that it'll have a way bigger impact.
Yeah.
Lot of the times, like, I've been surprised by my team that they're way more understanding by it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
they give you support, and like I appreciate it a lot that they're with you in the challenge. That sure, like and they're telling me that, Anand, this in the short term this might feel like a problematic, but in the long term it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Tell me how I can help.
Yeah,
and
correct.
those are the people, like,
see, that's the thing also, right? The team is, depending on you to make those difficult choices.
Yeah, that's painful.
What do you think eventually would get obsolete, and what kind of jobs? And is it safe to say that somebody who is doing very high skilled labor will still become relevant? Or who, according to you, would become obsolete because of AI capabilities? So, but how do you define what is automatable and what is not going to be automatable eventually? And how would you stay relevant?
I mean, I think those people who will be obsolete are the people that don't use AI. If you don't know how to use AI to improve your own efficiency on a day-to-day basis, I think that's what will be the primary reason.
It's safe to say that in the next couple of years, this is going to be.
I don't think a job role will become obsolete per se. I think AI is right now, the way I see it, it's assisting everybody in becoming more efficient, and you need to be able to use AI better at your work, and you need to keep learning all the time, right? And if you're not able to do that, and if you're not able to catch up with everything that's out there, then that's probably going to be the reason why you.
So, a simple analogy would be anybody who uses a calculator versus who doesn't use calculator. Like eventually, the ones who are with calculators are going to be like. But you can't say that there's one particular skill or category.
No, I don't.
Which
think
will
so.
get obsolete.
I don't
right?
think so.
It'll keep changing, right? Like, I mean, I've been the strongest believer that everything that can be automated will be automated.
Do you really eventually need a CEO of a company to run a business?
I would say yes, but the CEO is wearing that Iron Man suit, right? Like all the gadgets and all the resources to take those decisions more effectively. Maybe review decisions.
It's like can Jarvis be the CEO versus Tony Stark, right? Would you have Jarvis?
So what is the pros and cons? Are we saying that the machines will have lower risk appetite because the machines know so much more than a human being, context to the business can be learned as well. So what makes it a good CEO? Like,
think of it like autopilot, like the actual autopilot on a plane. Like the technology exists for planes to like fly themselves.
It's an operational
so
task.
is the Delhi Metro, like it can drive itself, but you still have that human in the loop to take the decisions. Look at the flip side, self-driving cars. There are cabs which a human is sitting and there are humans on the road, but people have started trusting those systems.
Correct.
Maybe not at scale right now, but there are some people who are believing in it. So maybe there would be a shift in this as well. The more we start trusting these systems.
I'm with you on that. I think
that's a very good example, right?
The criteria is that if there are other human beings involved in the actions, consequences of an action, then you would need a human being. What do you think eventually would get obsolete, and what kind of jobs? And is it safe to say that somebody who is doing very high skilled labor will still become relevant?
Earlier, I was looking at hiring lots of senior engineers, but now seeing like a lot of the younger like freshers produce a lot of code. On the product side of things, we're seeing a lot of use of AI to find vulnerabilities. So kind of vulnerabilities which people never expected a DAS solution to find, which only a human pen tester would find. We're seeing that we're able to automate that and cut down costs.
So are you saying that you've literally paused all the engineering hiring post?
I wouldn't say paused, but definitely slowed down. Like that's something which we're seeing a lot of productivity gains over there. So I mean, the metrics with which we're hiring those engineers has changed. So we're now.
What was it before and what is it now?
In terms of like.
Yeah, the metrics of hiring, right? I mean, you can also answer this. What was it before? How many engineers you need to build something to? What is it now?
I think if you want to build something from scratch, the answer is slightly. The answer is less, significantly less. If you're starting something and you're sort of building out an MVP now, the bar to build the MVP is it was low. It has been coming down for a long time, right? You have all these frameworks that helps you build a prototype very rapidly. Now with AI, that the human capital required to ship your initial MVP has gone down significantly. Right, so you can just validate an idea. You can come up with an idea, a thesis. You can validate that thesis in a 3 to 6 month period now.
So we had architect level, mid level, and then junior level, right? So who is going to be the most affected? Because the architects eventually are made
affected by AI.
Yeah.
See, in my business, the usage of AI is limited because we are in the reliability business. So we're not going to be like bringing in AI to do everything, right? So for us, in terms of just productivity, our engineers use AI to write maybe mostly boilerplate code, some test cases. If let's say I'm writing integration code to integrate with some popular API, yes, I think that's made easier, right? But then still, architecture stuff, I don't think I'm guessing even when you guys are using AI.
Who would be what you would least hire going forward?
It's a good question, yeah. I mean, I don't think the ratio of hiring changes. I think the overall quantity of hires will change.
Quantity and expectations. Like for example, now let's say a senior engineer that you're talking about, right? So now I expect them to, ship a lot more code. For example, instead of putting a feature request, I'm creating a PR and submitting it. So if the front end guy is developing something and needs something on the design front, earlier they would go to a designer, say that, boss, please change this. But now they're empowered themselves to do it. Same way, like a junior engineer, if they needed hand-holding or context on the code base, now they are able to use AI to do it. So maybe the numbers would be similar, but or like fewer, but from each person, the expectation is so much more. Like a product guy will build design, no? Why stop at a wireframe?
What we are seeing is it's still senior engineers in our company that are doing most of the reviews. Right. So if there's any new feature and it's a very complex system, depends on the complexity of your product, right? It's the middle, the managers or maybe the senior engineers who are actually doing the code reviews. We can't rely on AI to do the code reviews right now.
What I'm seeing with a couple of teams is once that senior level engineer gives that insight to that junior engineer, they're at it. Like now there are no excuses. Like even if they're stuck on anything, they can troubleshoot, triage, fix themselves. So they are also aligned to an outcome. Earlier, you were expecting junior engineers to put in that equal amount of effort so that they upskill and over time they can own an outcome. But now, like couple of months into the system, we can expect outcomes from them as well.
One of the things I've told our people in the company is that either you can't touch any more of the designers for this job. Their job is the final beautification aspect, making it great in the end. But from the idea to a prototype, end to end, making sure it's useful should be on you. If you are not able to do that, you should not be part of the program.
How are you empowering the PMs to do design?
Give them the tools and figure it out.
Sure.
Because I personally spend a week trying to build whatever we are sitting on for 2 weeks. On this back and forth. I spent a week literally building that whole product. And now you can use it and see whether it's useful for the customer or not.
You need to have the design system in place. You have a good modular one, and a design philosophy in place. Once you have that, now the product manager using a lot of these AI tools like V0, AI within Figma and all. Yeah. Now you think of how the product should look like at the end. So you drag drop pieces, use AI to create those structures, and it is very contextual and personalized to your designs.
Are you guys studying to do that in Astra?
Yeah, I mean, we're using
the PMs doing a bulk of the design work as well.
Yeah, initially we started off by doing that, but it took too much time for a PM to do it. So then we got a product designer to do that. But now we're again going back to experiment, so no wireframes, no low fidelity, nothing. Straight Figma, high fidelity, ready to be implemented.
And one of the pushbacks I heard in the first phase of this journey was that it is impossible to do certain tasks using AI. I'm not able to prompt and get the right answer.
Yeah.
It is not because the tool is not sufficient enough or capable enough to do that. No, you are not capable to use the tool. Is what it is. I mean, the car won't drive itself. You need to drive it.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
if you don't know how to drive it, is the
well, it's interesting. I mean, a lot of people did not know how to drive the car initially, right? And then I'm seeing mostly the people that do prompt engineering in their day-to-day work, not like bona fide prompt engineers. They're doing it through trial and error, right?
I'm looking at people who's asking the right questions. So people who ask the right questions in real life, identify the right problem, ask the right questions, they're good at prompting.
Yeah.
Like haven't figured out like how to answer a question, haven't figured it out how to train them, but usually people are either really good or not good at all on prompting.
I think maybe from a non-engineering standpoint, I think it has made our non-engineering teams better at communication. Right. So before,
how is communication?
I think like for a lot of documentation is one, right? Even just like coming up with ideas for like a simple marketing copy as well, right? You just need like a few ideas to get started, right? Maybe if let's say that you're doing a conference in a specific geography, you need to make sure that the messaging is to their sensibilities. Let's say I'm marketing in Japan. Or maybe in APAC, right? I can't just take the same copy that I do in North America or in EU, right? I need to maybe change that copy. Now, that does not mean that I'll have to hire a local who understands the messaging in Japan. But now I think a lot of these models can help you construct that message, and so marketing teams are able to communicate better. It's more focused, I believe. We are faster. So generally, what would take a marketing, let's say somebody who's doing content or just copies in general, right? What would take them like an entire day to do a copy? It's shaved down to like a few minutes.
You give that AI direction, and it'll give you. End of the day, all of us have become like QA engineers now, right?
I would say
you give a prompt and you QA.
I would say we are reviewers.
Yeah, exactly.
We are reviewers of what the AI is turning out. Okay, and 9 out of 10 times the AI is not churning out the perfect content. You have to keep it's an improvement process, right? You'll have to keep prompting and keep improving the prompts, and then finally you come up with the acceptable output.
Yeah. I mean, like from a product standpoint, like I feel like a lot of my job right now is to identify the right workflows which we need to build, because right now, like from my lens, I see the way we build products as well, like even those user interfaces, workflows, everything is like being reimagined right now. So like, for example, like we were shipping a trust center some time ago, and like the traditional way of it is you have a setup wizard, you configure 50 things, you give a preview to the customer, then they publish. And we asked ourselves, like, will the customer actually fill in so much? It's already time taking, security reviews and all. So we said, okay, let's use AI for this. And instead of having a setup wizard, setup screen, we use AI to pre-populate everything that we can about the customer. The customer is just a reviewer to make sure that is everything okay or not. Make a few tweaks, publish. So even the whole product flow is a lot simpler now. So now the challenge is to figure out, like you said, right? You initially, as a founder, you tinkered on things and, like shipped it. Now, how do I do this at scale? Like, how do you get your org to, like rewire their brains on how to do product? So that's a very interesting shift we're seeing with building products.
Every aspect of the business technically. And I found the biggest pushback from my legal team using AI tools for legal review. I've been telling them, start trying out legal tools which are out there, which will make your work really faster. 2 QBRs just went, nothing happened. What I understood is that they are afraid, or in a way, in a disbelief that something can actually eventually take, over your job. And that thought process is kind of wrong, because what will eventually take over your job will be other people who are able to use these
Use
tools.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, it feels obvious, right? Like, everyone knows AI is here and it is making you productive. I still seeing a lot of people, like you said, like legal teams and others, like somehow, like some people are adopting it really well and making like leaps and bounds progress,
Every single team is just asking me for AI budgets. Like,
which is a good sign.
Which is
a great sign.
it's most subscriptions, maybe like a Cursor subscription or a Copilot subscription, right? Or a GPT subscription, anywhere between $50 to $100 per employee. Is the AI, I mean, just day-to-day stuff. For us, the AI budget that they're asking for from they need AI for so mostly as a starting point, right? Maybe get their first drafts, marketing team or sales team or even the design team, right? It's an assistant to begin with, but it's not like really doing any heavy lifting. Apart from the AI costs that you're passing on to the customers as part of your software, you maybe including AI as part of your software, and that you pass on to the customer. That's fine. But for internal, for your general management, for your team members, right? Are you really looking for an immediate ROI, or are you also looking to see how it plays out?
So technically, thinking is so much about the ROI. There will be so many other things you can fix with that. It's more about, you have a very powerful tool which is out there. Your team and the first time phase shows their interest, but how do you make them, or how do you push that culture so that adoption becomes the key?
First step of a problem is solved. People are asking for it, which is a great sign. Now what Rahul is saying is, you ask them the outcome, expected ROI outcome, let them prove it to you.
I would say that they have their performance targets. I think you just measure against that. If they're able to reach those targets faster, either they reach that target. I mean, reaching those targets faster is probably the best way to validate whether AI has actually made a big difference.
I mean, that is more from a productivity angle. Like, for example, the question I'm asking a product team is, can this workflow for a customer be simplified? Like, it might not be a very big AI initiative, even a small thing. Like, for example, in Cursor, after creating making the commits, writing the commit message is a little irritating for a engineer. Like, I don't know, it's easy, but yeah. So even a small feature in Cursor saves me a lot of time, and that happiness of the product increases. So, like, productivity is one aspect, but is the engineer, while building it, also thinking of how do I incorporate it? So that is another metric which I'm looking at least in the engineering team right now, that are you reimagining product? So if there is initiative over there, getting them to champion it, say that, okay, you build that POC, ship it to production, and share your insights with the rest of the team. And maybe see if someone else comes, like healthy competition within that as well. But if you want to take another generic example, like we recently moved to a new support tool. And there have been like industry giants building for a decade or so support systems. And these new players building in an AI first world, right? So they're able to have the same outcome as these big software. They've built all of that in 2 years. And instead of, let's say, having 50 types of automation tools, like when a ticket is created, triggers, automation triggers, scenarios, none of that. They're building like AI agents, runbooks and all. So as a customer, it's the same outcome. They're automating a lot of these workflows, which were painstaking. Like routing tickets, as basic as it sounds, isn't an easy problem to solve when you have different teams working on tickets. So all of that I was able to set up in a few hours using runbooks. So they've completely reimagined it. I don't need to have 50 different features which will somehow, like route the ticket to the correct agent. Like support agent. Now you have an AI agent which is doing it. As simple as all new tickets coming in are assigned to an AI agent who has all the context on how to route the ticket to who, it'll factor in what shift they're on. And it feels magic. You can configure that as well. So like one router bot, just routes tickets internally to the correct team member, depending on the deal value, urgency of the ticket. So a lot of contextual parameter, it'll auto prioritize, auto classify, it'll draw insights, it'll draft replies. Like,
कौन है ये?
so it's a tool called Pylon. Like,
Pylon. देसी?
No, US folks like building it out for 2 years and pretty fun stuff.
2 years now, coming back to the point where they were able to build and ship it in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And all the magic that it was really hard to create that kind of product magic in like 2 years.
Exactly, and
Right?
that makes you feel like, wow, like sure, like they have couple of big AI initiatives which like it's a big differentiator, but even the tiny features, like a simple feature like auto prioritizing a ticket or identifying which area in the product, like it is not there. It requires configuration, and like I knew that I wanted that level of insight, so I set it up. But even those tiny things have such a huge impact on the way we do support. So my whole SOP on how we do support is changing. Earlier, all tickets get assigned to support. They look at, categorize it, add metadata, route it to the correct person. Now everything is happening in milliseconds. So now they don't have to spend so much time. So like now I'm configuring more bots and writing some custom code as well to, track SLAs better and nudge the correct people on it. Like it feels like magic, and that too in 2 years. It makes you think that, like they just reimagined, like greenfielded everything, question every assumption, and just see that if I have to build a support tool today, who would think that after so many years, like players like Intercom and everyone else also in the market, like why would someone want to build it? In a market where Jira is there, a linear can exist.
You think that in the last couple of quarters, a lot of the bigger players now they're starting to lose their moat?
A lot of these like uncool, unsexy businesses are becoming sexy now. Like even things like the support, ticket management, even QA and all. Like, I mean, you need it, but not a lot of VCs are putting in money in a lot of these. Now with the AI and that whole services landscape can be automated with high, like lot of context, high reliability at a decent cost. So I don't know where we'll end up with this, but a lot is changing. And
okay, so the way I look at it is that today I still need salespeople to sell softwares. Right? I mean, if it's normal SaaS, yes, people come by, but enterprise SaaS,
you need humans.
You need humans.
Human contact. Right?
But then you need humans. So, but I think there's a near future, I don't know how long in the future, where enterprise to enterprise communication will be through APIs, where another enterprise consumes another API to do the work, which means AI will be able to consume another company or leverage another company automatically without needing people to know what is to be brought.
Okay.
Which is
very far down the line.
I don't know how far, but that's how I think it is going.
You're saying from a non-tech perspective?
Yeah.
Okay.
From a non-perspective, I mean, what are the things you absolutely need right now? Software testing quality is going to be important, but a lot of that aspect is going to be automated for sure. But you still need the final outcome of quality is not going to change.
Correct.
Quality is again for human beings to evaluate what is good or bad, and then customer success, like you said, you eventually need. Okay, look, most of my answers, if I can get it resolved with that chat, immediate chat. I don't care. I'm talking to a human being.
Correct.
Is my problem getting resolved?
Yes.
Is the bottleneck. If the problem is not resolved, then I need that human being immediately.
For sure.
The workflows have to be built accordingly. I think initially with the chatbots and all, right, they were AI-powered chatbots, but they weren't solving problems. So there was some trust deficit, which I've seen, which I think we're regaining, that customers are totally fine speaking to an AI because they know that I don't have to wait for the other person to see the message, respond, follow up or anything. Like I was speaking to another founder friend of mine. They were doing like voice AI. Like it'll do calling.
Yeah, human-like.
Human-like
It's already here. Yeah.
calling. Very precision, like it'll have like some background noise, artificial background noise. You won't get to know. If you switch language, it'll switch languages with you. So even in the Swiggy Zomato case, like a common use case, right? Like, where's my order? One is the GPS location and all, and AI is able to answer. That second level automation, I don't know if they're actually doing it or not, but I mean, even for like different kinds of personas, maybe that AI bot can actually make a phone call to that delivery partner. He might not understand how to see that interface, but he can answer or he or she can answer a call.
At least for support use case, I don't see why you need to emulate human voice unless you're. See, if I'm talking to a machine, I need to know that I'm talking to a machine, right?
Yeah.
I need that machine voice. It's okay. I mean, you
Probably not in a B2B context. Like I'm saying, like if you take Zomato and all, for example, B2C
Why not?
context.
Why-
AI can
what is
identify itself as an AI, no?
Okay.
Like let's say you have
I think it needs to identify itself as an AI, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like it's a machine.
absolutely. Like even all the
Yeah.
AI bots we're trying identifies as a AI. Pronouns are A and I.
Yeah.
So that is definitely happening.
Yeah.
So even if it messes up, like the customer cut some slack on that.
Yeah, these are all like a lot of very interesting B2C use cases there, right?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about support in SaaS, right? Like I'm yet to see
B2B, right?
B2B.
Yeah.
B2B SaaS where all three of our businesses, our customers come up with very complex tickets. It's not like, it's not a one-step solution, right? You just human or machine goes and does a symbol, and they pay a premium for somebody that can, some system or human that can handle a complex query, right? Where are you seeing that going right now? I mean, I'm yet to see any movement there.
The enterprises pay for efficiency, right? SaaS world is the B2C world is different. Enterprises pay for higher efficiency, and the system which you are talking about is able to handle their queries well with the right empathy. Then it would work. But that is not, as of today, in my perspective, possible. But I think.
No, sorry.
Empathy is one. I'm questioning the ability itself of them handling that level of complexity.
Yeah, I think, see, for us, like it's about the expectation of the AI to what extent it's doing support. I'm not expecting it to solve 100% of my tickets. I'm saying that for all tickets where such deep expertise isn't required. So let's say someone says that, okay, I'm not getting an OTP. So that is something you don't need a support person doing it. It can connect to that send grid mail.
So anything
API
that does not require like a delete or a delete access or an update access for the AI. That I think you can those kind of operations you can still do like basic read operations, scope it to the user and then give it to the user. I think that is possible.
Yeah.
But like
exactly. So whatever can be automated, you automate.
Yeah.
Then for other cases, you figure out when to escalate.
But awesome guys. This has been pretty fun. Nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Listening to you both, by the way. I hope the people who are listening are able to take a few points back
I hope
as
so.
well. Yeah. And thanks for the show.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. And I think we're giving Sid major FOMO.
Yeah.
You take over the show now.
Yeah.
Yeah.